having a home that's visitable, where anybody can come and visit, is really important.
Hmm.
Whether there's already a disability or not, you're going to know somebody that's going to have a disability. And why have barriers to entry into your home?
Hey, this is Matt Helton with One Trust Home Loans, and you found the Serving Senior podcast. Now, this is the podcast where we highlight those businesses and those individuals that are helping seniors not just get by, not just survive, but thrive here in their golden years. And today we have another one of those awesome guests. We have Mr. Steve Weaver. And Steve has an awesome story that he's going to share about how he helps people turn their homes into full access homes, and also too how he helps people from all demographics, but also has a heart for serving seniors. Steve, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks.
Hey,
Appreciate it
thank you
very
so
much, Matt.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. And I love that real wooden background. Maybe share you were just telling me about also where you landed. So tell us about your property and your journey of getting here to Middle Tennessee.
Well, I was very blessed to quite literally stumble onto this log home,
Okay.
which suits me perfectly. And I've got just about 6 acres and one dog for every acre. Kind of a
Nice.
Yeah, it's hard to believe I'd have 6 dogs, but here we are. They each have a great personality, and it's where I carry a lint brush with me everywhere to keep myself looking a little bit better. But I'm enjoying life immensely, and the community out here in White Bluff is extremely welcoming, and just love it here.
Oh, that's awesome. White Bluff. Now that I haven't shaved because I was watching the Super Bowl last night, so I'm calling it my Super Bowl scruff. Did you have a dog in the hunt last night in the Super Bowl, being a California guy?
No, 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 I didn't even watch it. I was completely available to avoid everything that was going on there.
Gotcha.
So
No problem there. Well,
that's why I'm clean shaven.
there
There
you
you go.
go. Exactly. Exactly. Well, Steve, maybe give us a little background, where you're from, maybe your journey, how you got to Tennessee, and maybe tell us your story. What makes you you, and how do you get into serving people at such a high level?
Well, okay, here we go. It all started about 25 years ago,
Okay.
where up until that time, I had been climbing the corporate ladder at a high tech company in California. And when my daughter was born,
Hmm.
she had a lot of complications that led to cerebral palsy. Cerebral
Okay.
palsy happens when somebody lacks blood or oxygen to the brain for any period of time. It's like near
Got it.
drowning, causes neuromuscular challenges. And Cassie had many challenges.
Hmm.
Life flighted numerous times, and it just turned my world inside out, upside down, and all which ways, because it didn't go well with climbing the corporate ladder either. And
Wow.
I chose to, first and foremost, be husband and dad to the two kids. And Cassie opened my eyes to a world that I didn't know anything about before, and changed everything about my life, because I didn't find that anybody else understood the importance of keeping a house looking like a home and not a hospital. And
Hmm.
Cassie needed everything from an overhead lift, which would hoist her out of her wheelchair and place her in bed, to roll-in showers and all that. So I became an expert very quickly,
Hmm.
switched careers, became a general contractor, and have served hundreds, maybe even thousands of people in the 20 years that we've been in business. And then in 21, had an opportunity to make a lifestyle change, something I had been wanting many, many years, and decided to live a very good life, wholesome life out here in Tennessee, brought here by some church family, and fell in love with it, and been loving it out here. And we're in a little community just due west of Nashville called White Bluff,
Okay.
and quite literally stumbled onto this home. It's a log home, and I love it. love it, love
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah,
it.
thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. Maybe if you could, and I know you've spoken so eloquently. I've heard you speak in person about your daughter. So thank you for being transparent and sharing about that.
sure.
Maybe could you share about what you learned through that experience that you're able to translate those skills and maybe even turn them into superpowers to able to serve seniors at such a high level?
Well, that I like the superpower thing. I haven't ever thought of it that way, but we are very committed to serving our clients with dignity, opportunity, respect. Those are
Mm,
really bottom line what I was fighting for as Papa Bear for Cassie, and I use a lot of past tense. I should fill in the blank. She did pass away.
mm,
It'll be 10 years this June,
okay.
uh, rather unexpectedly. Just one of those things. But in that experience and in helping my parents, we have a level of understanding and compassion in what it is to be a caregiver and what it takes, which really sheds a lot of light on ideas that are otherwise considered a good idea by some. I can give them a bit of insight, a lot of insight
Mm,
as to the practicality of some of those ideas and why they do or don't work as a caregiver and a loving family member. So we work collaboratively whenever possible with occupational therapists, because they can assess a person. I can only evaluate a home and
mm,
provide suggestions. Uh, as a general contractor and somebody who's also gone through a lot of training, a lot of different certifications exist. I've got pretty much all of them, and uh, but many things are intuitive to me. God gave me the ability to speak. He gave me the ability to be a creative problem solver too. So that comes into play when I work with my clients to find out what's most appropriate for them, uh, and, and what they want. So really, ultimately, allow them to stay wherever they are for the rest of their lives if that's what they want. And most older adults, that's exactly what they want.
mm. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I know that sounds like a rough part of your life, but it sounds like, sometimes the toughest things are the best things. So it sounds like you learned a lot and it sounds like you took great care of her and it sounds like she taught you a lot too that you're sharing with the world. So I commend
every day every day is a new day and a new opportunity to help because of Cassie, and my son is involved with the business.
you.
He's actually the licensed general here because one of these days I might retire or
Okay.
who knows. So it's really an honor, and I couldn't be more blessed as a dad to be working with my son and and see that he was affected in a positive way regarding his sister, and that whole journey. So he's also quite creative in problem solving.
Nice. Man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, maybe could you share, Steve, maybe some examples of ways that you've helped people or, even focus on seniors, at some of the
Sure.
jobs, maybe some situations you encountered that you were able to put your knowledge in place and better their situation.
Well, a lot of the time, and it's we've had a couple different scenarios. We get contacted by the children, adult children, going, "Help! My parents need help, and I can't."
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I'll go in and talk to the the parents, and I'll end up saying exactly what the kids have said. They tell me that's exactly what I said, but when they hear it, when the parent hears it from me, I'm the expert, that it makes sense. One scenario is we reviewed the other day, the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, has some really good statistics on what the likelihood of disability is. And it can be, you fall down while skiing.
Mm,
There's a point in everyone's life it seems, the percentage that there could be some temporary or permanent challenge, physical
Mm.
impairment that makes getting around a house difficult. And it might be you, it might be a loved one. And one of the things that found out, like my parents were very resistant to giving me any opportunity to make it safer for them in their own home. So as soon as I explained, well, this keeps Cassie from visiting, they're like, oh, okay. Well, then suddenly I could make things. So when it changed from being about them to being about somebody else, and when it
Wow.
light bulb went off
Yeah.
about the whole term of visitability, having a home that's visitable, where anybody can come and visit, is really important.
Hmm.
Whether there's already a disability or not, you can expect you're going to know somebody that's going to have a disability. And why have barriers to entry into your home? So that's the first thing that we look at, is making a home visitable
Mm.
and livable, so that somebody with, I like to call it planning for the future instead of
Yep.
aging in place. Aging in place has a stigma that we're not particularly fond of, but planning for the future, well, that's a little bit more proactive. And that is worth its weight in gold, to already have a home that can accommodate anybody in any situation is pretty unique. And of course, Cassie's needs were so specialized and unique that accessibility end of things goes beyond the full access, which is a term I came up with. That full access simply means that anybody, any age, any ability can live in the
Mm.
home. And it's the same thing we would want, like backstage pass. It's full access, right? Why not give full access to everybody? Ultimately, that's what we'd like to do. Um, and we can make that happen.
Mm. That's fantastic. Full access. Yep. That's a great term to use. And it also infers about the visitability, anybody can come, anybody can leave, and you don't have to turn anybody away. So that's awesome.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Steve, maybe any resources that you could share with us and the audience that you recommend? Is there any, besides just y'all's knowledge, is there anything when someone comes to you, you mentioned CDC and different things, any resources like that that would be good for people to look into?
Well, if they don't already have an occupational therapist involved in their care, which typically comes around when there's been some kind of an injury or something that requires rehabilitation. So an occupational therapist is a great resource on which to lean. And
Okay.
again, I think I already mentioned, but they can assess an individual where I can't. I can evaluate a home, but I can't legally assess a person. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
won't. So it's a very important distinction, and working collaboratively with the occupational therapist, the client, um, maybe a designer, all those resources, call it the trifecta, gets into designing something that's appropriate for them. And how do you pay for it? Well, that's a great question, and that might be where you can help out, because there are some products that I know we've talked a little bit about this, Matt, that you could make it possible for somebody to leverage their own home and find a way to pay for these things. Because unfortunately, most of what we do is not covered by any kind of insurance unless it's a workers' comp case or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it's not covered. And yet, 1 month in a beautiful care facility would probably make a big dent, if not pay for, a lot of the things that we offer. So
Mm.
staying in your own home and making a small investment comparatively to a care home or skilled nursing facility is significantly less
Mm-hmm.
in modifying a home. And it just goes up from there. And we can even serve the we have a lot of our partners within our groups here that have uh, independent living homes, and the older adults already moved into one, but they find that they don't have the grab bars they need, or they might need a roll-in shower. Well,
Okay.
we've done some work like that too. So that,
Makes sense.
again, they've already got their social aspect figured out within the place they're living, and that they'd like to keep 99% of the time. So we
Yep.
can help both, residential and, in these situations where they're in a retirement home, whatever you want to call it.
Retirement home, senior fraternity house,
In,
sorority, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
right?
independent living,
Exactly.
all those things.
No,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, and I thought of something. You said and that's a great point that you made, that you said the trifecta, the contractor, the occupational therapist, and the designer all work
Mhm.
together. I might just propose maybe a change. You call it the Fantastic Four. Keep those three, and then add the financial professional, or lending expert. And
Right.
then, that would be a way, because most of the individuals that you're talking to probably, not all of them, but if they own a home, they've probably been there a while. Most of the time
Right.
you don't like to move. So they should have a sizable amount of equity. And even if they pull money out of their portfolios, or most of the time, if it's a 401k, that is pre-tax money. So you pull out, 100,000, you have to pull out 125, 130 to do something. In this scenario, what we do, anything equity related, is not income. So it doesn't affect any, that could affect their income pulling money out. It's not
Right.
income related, so it doesn't affect Social Security or any other type of what they have coming in. It's also not taxable. So there's no taxes with that. And then we have options, like HELOCs, just traditional things at a bank that they could do. The challenge is if they borrow much in today's world, they're going to have a pretty high monthly payment. So we look at that. We look at traditional loans, but we also look at senior lending, which FHA came in and took over anything that's mortgage related, that's FHA reverse mortgage. Then they completely started the program from scratch, because there was a negative connotation. If you heard the word reverse mortgage, most people think they're going to lose their house. So FHA, took any of that out, but they give people money. So to give you an example, we just had a client that was a $600,000 home paid off. They were on the younger side of the qualification. It kicks in at age 62. So they were
Hmm.
on the younger side of the program, but they got $100,000 cash at closing. And then a year later, they get another $100,000 line of credit that they could use.
Hmm.
So they were going to do some things. Their main thing they wanted was peace of mind, depending on what happens with the market and the economy, because this can't be taken away from them. But they were able to get their hands on $100,000, but they weren't stuck with $1,000 a month payment like they would on another type of loan. They don't have to
Right.
make a monthly payment. So those are the type of things that we could work in conjunction with to be able to give folks advice on ways to pay for it.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic Four. I think that's,
Okay.
you got a new moniker,
The
new slide.
Fantastic Four. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and what we always do is we give people, just like you would on a job, hey, if you modify it, here's the way it works, here's the pros. Also, too, there's no free lunches, right? Here's the cons of doing this. So we usually like to give people two or three
Yep.
options of different programs. Here's the good and bad of this. Here's the good and bad of this. Here's what
Yep.
I would do if I were you, but ultimately let them pick, kind of walk them through that.
Yeah. I love that. I appreciate that very much, because there is so much financial elder abuse, even disabled abuse in this area. And in fact, I spend a lot of time educating my clients about what their options are, the pros and the
Mm.
cons. And somebody comes to me wanting a walk-in tub advertised all the time on TV. I actually spent a lot of time educating them and giving them reasons to reconsider, or
Wow.
at least understand the implications of getting a walk-in tub, because you still have a step of most of the time. You still
Yeah.
have, waiting for it to fill, waiting for it to empty. There's a lot of things to go over. We do have a walk-in tub manufacturer right here in Tennessee. In fact, the
Okay.
only one that's that I know of that's made here in the U.S. Actually, legitimately 100% made in the U.S. But you know, I want my client to understand everything about the pros and the cons
Mm-hmm.
of that walk-in tub or the idea of a walk-in tub before we
Yeah.
see them get committed.
Makes
Same
sense.
way with the stair lift. You know, as the chair that rides up a set of stairs. There's a lot of marketing of those on TV, and they do enable our clients. It's wonderful, but you got to be careful what you buy, because some of the
Mm,
stuff out there is, you know, I wouldn't put my name to.
mm,
So anything that we sell, we are also able to service, and I
that's
would
great.
trust my own family member in, and that's how I treat the community is an extended family for me.
That's fantastic.
So that's how we look at it. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't want a I don't want a phone call that's like it's not working. It's like, no, we
Mm-hmm.
want it to, it's the lifeblood for so many people.
Yeah.
So
That's great. Yeah. Take care. If you take care of your clients like they're your family, eventually they'll be like your family and they'll treat you like
yeah.
family. So that's all. It's a great way of looking at it. Steve, maybe could you share with the audience if, let's say that they're not a candidate for this, but they don't really have a senior in their life, but they probably are involved maybe in the senior world. Who should they forward this to? Like, where do you see over the years a lot of your referrals, whether it's in-home care or facilities, or what type of people should people forward this recording to make sure that you get to the right people?
Well, they should forward to everybody,
There you go.
but because nobody's going to be, you know, not going to benefit from knowing that we exist.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, the primary within the professionals that we're working with, we're going to see a lot of in-home care, medical and non-medical in-home care, where
Okay.
this will be appropriate. Uh, Occupational and physical therapists
Mm,
who are working with their clients need to know about the services that we provide. And you know, generally, you know, word of mouth. It's going to be word of mouth that gets us out there. We have a great website. Very pleased with that. Uh, for anybody who's interested, it's homebasesolutions.com.
okay.
Home base like baseball.
Yeah,
You're safe at home base, and
that's awesome.
yeah, and so homebasesolutions.com. And then there's the other one that we're working with. I've got a couple colleagues in different parts of the country that we have a company called Construction Education Consortium, and that's about teaching others how to do what it is we all have a passion for. And so we're going to start seeing that spread like wildfire, because one of the other things, other than teaching realtors and contractors and occupational therapists about these things, we also want to teach the homeowners so that they understand what's possible, so they can ask for things and get it done.
Makes sense. That's perfect. That's what we
Yeah.
need to know. Well, Steve, maybe could you fill us in on, if somebody's listening, the best way to get in touch with you guys? You mentioned the website. What about phone number, contact information? And then also, we're all in Middle Tennessee. Do you guys serve? Kind of what do you consider your region?
Well, to get a hold of us, our main telephone number is area code 615-234-1231. The web address we already gave is homebasesolutions.com. And you can send an email to steve@homebasesolutions.com. Uh, let's see. The other question of where we serve is took me a second to
That's
remember.
okay.
We serve all of Middle Tennessee. It just really depends on what it is a person needs. It wouldn't make sense for us to go into Kentucky to put up a set of grab bars.
Right.
Uh, but our website shows service areas somewhat close to us. You know, up to Clarksville, down to well, we're in Dixon County here, and we
Okay.
serve Nashville. But you can imagine a pretty big area, but we've already served a client in Knoxville
Nice.
for overhead lift. So an overhead lift, just as a reminder, that hoists a person from their wheelchair and places them in their bed or a different part of the house.
Okay.
We had an extensive one of those in our house for Cassie. It was pretty cool. So that, and remodeling projects, because they can be significant. If we're doing a bathroom, we've won some national awards for our work in bathrooms, and we want it to be affordable for the client, so we don't go beyond about an hour drive from where we're at. Otherwise it gets a little inefficient. But it just depends on what's needed.
Gotcha. Man, that's awesome. That's great. Have gas, we'll travel, here to serve. Sounds like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Steve, I've always, when I've heard you talk, I always respected that you're on mission. You're not here just to do business. You're here to help people, and business is a byproduct of helping people. So I've always enjoyed hearing you talk about that. And so appreciate you being on here. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that we should have asked you?
Well, I can't, you didn't ask me what my hobbies were, but don't have a whole lot of time for those anymore.
That's okay. I could ask you your sign or anything like that, but we're all good. So no, not much. It sounds like your hobbies helping people and hanging out with your son, which I guess hanging out with your son also falls under the category of working, it sounds like.
Well, it can be, yeah, but it's fun. He's a great kid. He's kid, of course, is a relative term. He's
right
30, but we have a good time.
That's so cool. Well, Steve, I'd love to have you back on too, as you continue to serve seniors. Maybe come up with a couple, I call them case studies, and we could also jump on and you could go through, no names or anything, as you could guess, but like, hey, they were 70, here's what they came with, here's what they were thinking. They were talking about buying this, expensive tub. I was able to come in and modify what they've got, those type of things. That would be awesome to kind of work through some scenarios like that. And then and then on our end, I could show, you could say, yeah, and it looked like the job cost this much and yada. And I could say, oh, if we would have been involved with financing, here's how we could have done that too. We could kind of tie it all together. That would be cool.
That's awesome. That'll be great.
We love to do that. Okay. Well, Steve, thanks again for being here, and keep up the great work with those seniors.
Yeah, you too, Matt. Thanks so much.
Yeah. And thank you for watching the Serving Senior podcast, where we highlight those professionals like Steve that serve seniors at a high level. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you be on the lookout for the next episode, and we'll see you here soon. Talk to you again. Bye-bye now. Hey, this is Matt Helton with OneTrust Home Loans, home of Retirement Mortgage Solutions. And we really do appreciate you checking out the Serving Seniors podcast today. Now, please go to the description down in the body of the podcast, where you can subscribe to get future shows. Please click that notification button so you get notified when other shows drop. And also, if you can go to servingseniorspodcast.com, and we'd love to hear a comment about our show. We have a heart to serve seniors, and we have a heart to make sure seniors don't just survive retirement, don't just get by in retirement. We want to show seniors how to thrive in retirement. So if you know of anyone that's 55 and older that could use some extra cash flow, maybe the retirement's not going the way that they like, our retirement mortgage solutions are designed for folks, depending on the state, they're either 55 or 62 and older, to make sure that they have that kind of retirement that they want. As long as they own a home and they're in a good equity position, there could be some solutions that they may not have thought about, or maybe they've thought of and they just didn't know how they work. That's what we do. So anyone in that age group that could use some mortgage advice, my team and I would love to be able to help them. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you on the next show. Have a great day.